Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you're joining us from around the world. Welcome to Web3 Warriors, episode 50, featuring the droid of Zeon, Zeon himself, creator of the Afrocentric Mandala art style, and a really interesting, prolific NFT creator who's joining us from Nigeria. Good morning, Zeon. How are you doing, Zeon? I know it's not morning on your side of the globe where you're joining us from.
It's still GM, we're in the metaverse.
Yeah, exactly, right? There's no time zones in the metaverse. Thanks for joining us, Zeon. Hope you're doing well. All right. So today we're going to be talking about really looking at the African continent and what's possible for creators in Nigeria specifically, where Zeon's joining us from, but also more broadly across the African continent. We'll be able to see how Manifold open edition mints are helping creators kind of take control of their contracts and really be able to build new, interesting projects. And we'll also just be taking a look specifically at Zeon's collection here. So I do want to welcome everyone to episode 50. It's a pretty big, monumental milestone for us as a podcast. And I'm really excited to look forward to 2023 and what we're trying to build here. I am David Krome, your host. I go by Krome in the metaverse. Today, we're going to be looking at really just the creator economy more broadly. As we always do on Web3 Warriors, we're really focused on the global impacts of Web3 and the NFT space, and really just trying to demystify it, show what's possible, and lean into the fact that ultimately it's changing lives, and ultimately creators have this whole new vehicle to create revenue, to find new collectors, to find new supporters, and to really build community and hash out, why they are creating art, and being able to actually lean into more genuine reasons, I think, and really kind of just take advantage of all that the technology offers. So I look forward to talking about specifically how things are going for Zeon in Nigeria. And maybe with that, I know it's been about almost a year since we first connected with Zeon. And so Zeon, how are things going for you in Nigeria with your NFTs? Really loved looking at your African Mandala Afro bits that you were making. Definitely curious how that's going, but looking forward to, just hearing more about your newer collections. So how are things going, Zeon? What have you been up to in Web3? And thank you for joining us again.
Good evening, David. Thank you for having me again. I have to congratulate you, that you just kept Web3 Warriors going. I mean, you can't believe that it's been almost a year now, or is it even more than a year now?
Yeah, it just was a year in January, so definitely big milestone. And now this is episode 50, so you got a good special episode that we got you reconnecting on here.
Wow, that's beautiful. It's really an honor. I really appreciate that. I've been busy in the Web3 space. Since the last time we spoke, I had completed an ongoing collection. I had dropped another collection. I did a little bit stuff on Tezos, just experimenting by minting my photographies on Tezos, and some other digital art there, and just been staying here and there. I think I also minted on Solana, but I just had to burn it. I just didn't like the feeling. I couldn't connect with the community there. So
oh, really? Which Solana marketplace did you use, if you remember?
I used Holaplex. I minted via Holaplex. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not too familiar with that one, but I would say Form Function. I don't know if you've seen them, formfunction.xyz, but they've got a really cool artist community there. If you want to dabble with Solana again, they've been doing some pretty cool things over there. Yeah.
Of course. I just learned about Form Function like the last, maybe like December, but by then it was already too late because I had already given up, the Solana pieces. I burned them all. So yeah.
It's all right. Sometimes that's what you gotta
maybe
do.
In future, sometime in future, I might mint those pieces because I still have the art with me. So I've been doing that, and we're here this year with very, very different perspective and points of view, with different plans entirely, new plans.
Most definitely. So looking at Manifold, it sounds like I remember we were in a Dream Conduit room earlier, and you were talking about how you were a little bit frustrated with the way that the OpenSea smart contract works, and how you kind of feel like you're just building on OpenSea sand, you could say, How do you feel about using Manifold? What's your experience been like, and why do you use Manifold?
Oh, that's a great question, David. Thank you. Manifold it really helps the creators to mint contracts on their own directly with their they just mint contract directly with their contract addresses you get. So it just makes everything more authentic, just putting more ownership to the creators. Unlike as you mentioned, OpenSea, it's only minted on via OpenSea storefront. You get it's not really minted on that creator's contract. So Manifold just made that really really easy for creators, and they just send back 100% of the money. If something's selling for 0.01 or 0.18, it's the creator is getting 0.18, as opposed to OpenSea and Foundation and other marketplaces where when creators, when the works get bought from creators, the creators and the marketplace always takes some percentages, some of them 10, some of them 12% from the price of the art. So Manifold gives the creators that 100% ownership. So it is what really has made it really awesome for me. I mean, since I discovered it, I don't know what will make me to mint on to mint via a marketplace or something. I don't know what will make me do that. Like maybe to be a curated drop or something. That's the only thing that can do
the marketplace specifically pays you good money to mint on their marketplace. That's the only way you're gonna do it, right?
Right, right. Right, definitely.
Yeah, that's interesting. So it's the ownership is definitely what it's all about. I've heard rumors that Manifold is looking at trying to monetize a bit more because it is blowing up, right? And they should be making some kind of money, whether it's off the artists or I think probably more likely off of their collectors, right? Maybe you add a fee on the purchase side that is on top of what the artist is claiming. But I didn't realize it was 100% that the artist gets with these mints. So that's really awesome. And then beyond that, it's also the contract itself, right? Like you're able to really customize it. I know you can add your own like ASCII art. And then there's also just the fact that it's under your name, right? And under your wallet.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's totally right. That's totally right. It's really a remarkable thing, and the monetization is really cool because they still want to retain that 100% ownership for the artist, and the best way they can do that is to get the fees from the collectors instead. So I think that's a beautiful strategy to use up.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Looking at some of these artworks before we get into your more recent ones and your plans for 2023, I really love these kind of high tier one of one pieces you've got here. And looking at them, so it says you minted, for example, this one, the Eternal series, the Man East Fest 2022, manifesting, a little play on manifesting. So you minted it on August 4th, right? And was that minted through a Manifold mint then? And then it just goes straight to Foundation?
Yes. I minted it via Manifold, and what's beautiful about Manifold is that you can control the your tokens so much that you can select which marketplace you want it to be listed and which marketplace you do not want it to be listed. It gets like that in depth and that detailed about every contract.
Right, and that's important.
And yeah, you're right. I like that you saw the word play. I did. I like to play with words. I think the whole series was just about word play. If you read the descriptions, you see I literally was substituting a select syllable with the word if, like cathedral. That's what. And the other one monolith. For monolith, it's just a little wordplay. I really enjoyed creating those works, and they're really dear to me. And they're physical pieces, really big, like 22 inches big.
Oh, wow.
So if someone collects that, I'll ship the original art to them, and it was all for real. And it was all hand drawn with pen. It's just really beautiful. I mean, I really took my time on that one because I really documented the whole process. I mean, I made a video of me drawing and just, the whole process. The video is really beautiful. I mean, I used it for the trailer, and it's really beautiful. It's a minute long.
Nice. Oh, wow. Yeah, especially the Man-Eth Fest. All three of them are really beautiful, though. So that's for all three of these Eternal series. If anybody purchases the one of one, they will have the physical piece shipped to them as well?
Yes, exactly. They'll have the physical piece shipped to them. Oh, just what I need, just an address.
No doubt, no doubt. I have to save up some ETH, I'm trying to get some more art on these walls. That's beautiful, man. Really cool. I always love to hear new phygital concepts. So that's a serious phygital opportunity there. So any listeners, go check out the Droid of Zeon on foundation.app, and you can check out his beautiful artwork there, which we have up on the screen here. Yeah, so that's really interesting. To your point about the marketplaces and the fact that a Manifold actually allows you to say which marketplaces can hold and not hold your NFTs. And that's important to your earlier point, right, as far as the cuts. So if you allowed OpenSea to hold these one-of-one NFTs, for example, and to allow them to be sold on OpenSea more specifically, they would always take that 10% cut, right? Or whatever their percentage is, 5%.
Yes. They'll always take that cut if it's listed on their marketplace.
No
They always do that. It's on the terms and conditions.
Right, and they're not honoring the royalties, right? As of last year.
Yeah, as of last year, but I think they were working to, make it automatically reflect, because before you have to like go to OpenSea and then set it manually, and by so doing, it means it's not on chain. You get. So I think they started working with Manifold developers to kind of integrate it. So we're looking at the second quarter of this year if they're gonna do it, but they said they would do it. So we're just looking forward to that.
That's good. I'm sure they'll figure out something. I think they took a lot of flack. It's interesting how quickly the creators in the space just got used to royalties, and it was really baked into part of the value add of the NFTs. Immutability is awesome, network effect is awesome, being able to fundraise so quickly is cool, but that royalties option, the idea that even the people that are making future gains off of your art, you're getting a little piece of that, at least, definitely seem to be a major part of Web3. And so, we've seen some corners, like the crypto art corner specifically in Bitcoin, like they don't have any of those gripes over royalties, right? But it's also a very, very different space. And so looking at these pieces that you've created for this Eternal piece, they're obviously very complementary of Ethereum, and that the way that they kind of mash up the Ethereum symbolism with obviously your Afrocentric Mandala art, and then maybe even more African symbols more broadly. Maybe it's obvious what the inspiration was, but I want to hear it from you. What was the inspiration for this type of artwork, and why Ethereum? You seem to have a definite affinity for Ethereum. So what inspired these beautiful art pieces here?
That's a really great question. I really appreciate that. You see, the whole collection, just the idea just came very early last year when the bear market just started hitting. Ethereum went really down, and as at that time, I was only minting on Ethereum. Okay, I wasn't even ready to experiment or explore other blockchains. So yeah, that's I think I'm also an Ethereum maxi kind of, so.
Nice.
I was just feeling like, hey, there's so much going on now. Arts are not selling, and I think that's also the period that rug pulls were now so intense in the market. So I was like, hey, like there are authentic one-of-one artists here, and then other people were like spending their money on PFPs, which were always like that time, like 9 over 10 of most of those projects, like kind of February, March last year, was they just end up being rug pulls. It was so common in the space. So I was feeling hurt that, I mean, there is authentic artists, if you're trying to make money or you just want to collect
right
something beautiful, there are artists you can reach out to. and then collect their works. You find something you love. So I was kind of also emotional at that point. So I just started creating. I think Manifest was the first one. My community, we used to have this Twitter space of it was just just for cruise. We called it No Sleep for the Ethless.
Wow.
So we just get in there and just talk, and just lots of artists, photographers from mostly African NFT community. So we would just talk and just have fun, talk about everything. So all of that really had a kind of very, very serious impact and influence and inspiration towards creating the first art that was Manifest. So while I was creating Manifest, all the words just popped into my head. I think the second one was cathedral. No, cathedral was the last. The second was eternal. All right, so I was like, okay, I'm going to use that as the eternal series. Then I now thought of monolith and cathedral. It was just words that just popped up, and I just played with them.
Yeah, and what the cathedral, I can't even say it. What is the inspiration of this one? Like, it kind of looks like those fans that you see in some African culture, but is that what it's supposed to be, or what's the inspiration for this one?
The inspiration is literally from cathedrals, Roman Catholic churches.
Gotcha.
So the way I created that piece, I was just picturing that, as the circle is there, that is like the, all these domes when you go into Roman Catholic churches, all those domes. So it's like I'm picturing it from the ground up, so it's like kind of like, flat, bringing that into a two-dimensional perspective.
Yeah, it's like your
so
own,
that's why I did you can see the pillars down there, just holding it up. Yeah, and that's guy that's, just like kind of a Jesus right there. It was a really fun project. The whole project was just
now that
fun.
you mention it, I can see it, definitely got like a Michelangelo kind of motif, if you're lying on the ground looking at the roof kind of thing. Yeah, definitely. Very cool. Very cool. And now, I didn't realize you had a physical piece with that. And you said they were pretty big too, like 22 inches. So they're pretty big physical pieces.
Yeah.
It's going to be a little costly to ship.
Yeah, they are.
No doubt. No, that's really exciting. Hopefully we'll get some more eyes on that. I think that's a really cool collector piece. And I got a lot of faith in the future of the Afrocentric Mandala. And I just wanted to, we glossed over specifically earlier, you were mentioning the rug pulls, right? And the fact that there's a lot of rug pulls, especially early February 2022. And of course, all throughout, kind of halfway through 2021 onward, has been a lot of those quote unquote PFPs, which stands for profile picture NFT collections. And when we say rug pulls in the space, it's specifically these PFP collections that are sold as this next big, amazing, exciting project. Maybe it's a metaverse, maybe it's a video game, maybe they're, going to do a bunch of stuff in real life and give you VIP access to their events, but they don't do anything, right? So they sell out, they make millions of dollars, and then they just take the money and go. So that's what they call a rug pull in the space. And unfortunately, it had been a very common occurrence. I think it's slowly becoming less common because there's just not as much demand. But to Zeon's point, as an artist in this space, in the Web3 space, looking at the amount of money, millions and millions, if not billions, just thrown into these PFP projects, and I don't know, 60% of them, you could say, were rug pulls, or at least just didn't end up succeeding to achieve what they said they were going to achieve, whether it was an intentional rug pull or just, a failure in some other way. The point is, all this money was invested in them, right? But if a fraction of that money was invested in amazing artists like Zeon, and even just a much smaller group of collectors see the value in this art and start purchasing it, that group will ultimately grow, and the value will be defined by that kind of initial group that invests in it, right? So the potential to actually have a better economic outcome long term and support true artists on the short term seems like a better play in the one of one and limited edition art space. What do you think about that, Zeon? Is that a fair summation of what you were feeling when you made these art pieces?
Yeah, you took the words out, man. That is exactly that. You said it all, man. You're so right. You said it all. Exactly. It goes on. At that time, artists used to complain a lot, about it, but I think we just, kind of grew a thick skin and just remember that we're just artists and people can do what they want to do with their money. Okay, so what you just have to do is just create your art and just be positive and do your thing and just keep your brand intact and just stay true to your craft. Really.
Beautiful. Dropping bombs here. No, I like it. And, to your point, exactly. I remember those days of hearing that tension from some artists who were really like, we're spending millions on these PFPs while like artists are here sweating, trying to sell a 1 of 1 or a 1 of 5 or whatever. I remember those tension conversations. And to your point, I do think, to each their own. If that's the way you want to spend your money, power to you. But hopefully, as this space continues to grow and people are in it for the art more so than the bag, and making the flip, I think that we'll see the artists like yourself, Zeon, will win in the long term. So maybe I'm being optimistic, but let's see how things evolve. So let's jump over to the Pop Africana now. I really, really love this piece. You got the big fella Kute right in the middle with his arms up, and I see a bunch of other really cool African symbolism, whether it's the pharaoh up in the north near where Egypt would be, and a few others, and you got some zodiacs in there. So tell us a little bit about Pop Africana, and this was the first Manifold drop of this year, right? Was it your first this year?
Yes, that's my first drop of the year. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, tell us about it. What went into it? What inspired the beautiful piece here of the continent?
Oh yeah, that piece actually is a remastered piece from an original artwork I did in 2018. The original art was the Africa, right? Just how it is, but it's it's Afrocentric Mandala and it's always monochrome. So it's a physical piece, also about 22 inches. It got exhibited in Kalakuta Museum in 2019. That is, I think, that whole event kind of really catapulted my career and my own urge to pursue art actually.
Nice.
So
and where was that?
In Lagos, Nigeria. Kalakuta Museum is the museum of Fela Anikulapo. Yeah,
nice.
it's Fela's personal museum. Yeah.
Put that on the bucket list for when I visit Nigeria. I got my friend Endo out there. I keep telling him I'm going to meet him one day and go visit Nigeria. He'll show me around Lagos and wherever else. And of course, I'll drop by your place too, Zeon, if I get out there.
Yeah, of course.
But I didn't even know Fela had a museum. That's amazing.
He has a museum, and the museum is so big and very, very educative. Like when you get in there and leave, you'll be inspired. There is one quote that I saw at the museum. It's actually what really drives me. He said that it's written that art is to preserve history. Art preserves history. They wrote it in Yoruba, and the instructor just interpreted it to us. So it just made so much sense that to just create historic art, something that would tell the story of something that happened in this particular time frame, to people in future, because this art, everything, they outlive us. So I really got inspired, when after that whole exhibition. Yeah. Wow. So I created that art from there, and I've been using digital art recently, and I just wanted to play with it a little. Let me just kind of up it, because I really wanted to mint that piece, but it just didn't feel right. How it was monochrome like that, because it just didn't feel right. So I just kind of played with it, through some colors here and there, and then it was so magnificent. It was so beautiful. I loved the work. That morning I just woke up really I don't know, feeling colorful or something. Yeah. So I just splashed the colors. It was a really quick process. I just tweet, and then boom, it looked like that. I was like, this is it. This is it. I decided that moment that I'm minting this. I just decided that moment I'm minting a limited edition. And then the holders of this limited edition are going to, be able to claim from my next zodiac sign collection they're going to be able to claim anyone. They'll be able to claim all of it because it will be like free, just 11 people, right? So I just minted that. And on the contract, I was gonna give out the physical piece in a raffle if the thing sold out in the first 48 hours. Yeah, but it didn't sell out in the first 48 hours, so
that's all right.
people lost out on that.
It was a good pitch, though. It's a good pitch. Sometimes they don't pan out, you know.
I know. So I'm just looking forward to creating all these zodiac signs and then getting people to collect it, and mostly the holders of the Pop Africana, because the Pop Africana is just I just really want to create a lot of art this year with Afrocentric Mandala style. I'm pushing myself out there a lot more, with different renditions and just putting out mandala out there, just to show people, and tell stories, in a very, very unique manner, something very, very uncommon and very, very unique.
It really is. And I don't see it. There's no way it can fail, honestly. It's too beautiful. It's too symmetrical. It's too African in culture, it's rich. And so looking at, the NFT market, I do want to ask about some of the symbolism in this piece as well, but I just want to ask this question as well. Looking at the symbolism and the marketplace, when you look at African creators, do you think that what's going to like really cause, let's say, a renaissance specifically for African NFT creators, right? Is it something like we just need more African art collectors of all backgrounds, but people who see the value in the African art? Do you think that it's already growing at a good pace and that it just needs to continue to kind of grow as it is now? Or what do you think would kind of be a trigger to really kind of fuel artists like yourself who are doing, amazing, genuine work, but for maybe certain eyes aren't seeing it yet and the value hasn't been, raised to that status yet? What do you think's what is it gonna take to kind of get African art on the blockchain to that next level?
That's a really great question. I've not really had a very, very deep thought on that, but I would say that, I mean, it's left to first of all, having more African collectors in this space, not just African. I mean, having more collectors in this space. I mean, there is a whole African NFT community. I feel like if anybody wants to find any African or you want to collect any art from an African, you just go to African NFT community. You see, like we've done a great job there to kind of compile and update a list of different artists based on their categories, based on from 2Ds, animation, 3D artists, pen artists, photographers, like something like that, different categories. Like, so we'll just keep growing. We're growing immensely. I mean, the community is getting stronger, and like we're a few of us, not a few, a lot of us are getting on super rare. There's so many African artists on super rare now. Nice. Yeah, so I believe we're growing at a very, very good pace. But in case because I see a lot of people try to act like they don't know where to get African art from, but because it's just Central African NFT community.
Yeah, we had Abby on the show, and she's been helping with that, pushing that forward. And I think the curation is not the problem. To your point, I think African NFT community. We had Charles from the Naija DAO specifically for Nigerian community as well. And I think there are some leaders really doing a good job curating, pulling the art together so that it can be found. I look at it and I just think that there needs to be an influx of, it doesn't necessarily have to be African, but it's likely going to come from the African community, affluent collectors who really see not just the value in the art intrinsically, but the provenance, right? The fact that this time and place will never happen again. And you and all of these earliest members of the African NFT community are really charting a whole new path that there will be many more people to come after, but only this kind of crop of from 2020 till now, really forming that foundation. And so my hope is that looking back, and even obviously with the podcast, it's why I love having these conversations, being able to look back and see the value in it and the provenance in it, and even the financial value, because art and history is valuable, you know. And to your point, that was a great fella quote about art preserving history. And I think that there's so much of that going on, specifically in the African NFT community, that art like this is more significant than we realize right now, you know. And even like the Afro droids. Afro droids, right? And I look at that collection, and I mean, they went for 12,000, so they definitely shot for the moon, and they sold it out really quickly, and they did really well. But now you look at the floor price on them, and it's pretty low, right? And so I think about that, and in the short term, that might be a good thing, because I see a future where it's like, are you an NFT collector? Are you African? Then you better have an Afro droid, you know? And we as like a community should be pushing a project like that, which is not only proudly African as a PFP project, but is also doing actual social good on the ground, right? Supporting a school, a women's school in Nigeria, you know? So I see a future where all of this kind of value and the historic provenance of what we're doing here and what you're doing specifically, and what the community, the African NFT community, is doing, is valued, you know. So I'm hoping, I'm just going to speak that into existence, because I really believe that's a future where collectors like myself who have a connection to the motherland, to the African continent, will value this art more and more. So hopefully we see that happen.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Definitely, I agree with you. Definitely see that happen. We'll see that happen.
No doubt.
We'll see that. Yeah.
So looking at the Pop Africana piece, you know, I'm seeing a lot of drums. I think some zodiac signs worked into here as well, right? So looking at some of the symbolism, what inspired it, and what is the story of zodiacs on the continent, if I can ask that broad question?
Man, that's a very rash question, man. Well, I do not know about zodiacs in relation to African mythologies. I don't even know that, but it's a path I would like to read and explore. So I'll look into that, definitely.
Nice. So I've heard from a like ancient history perspective that zodiacs either started in like ancient Sumeria or ancient Egypt, or maybe even prior to that. But as far as like actual, you know, script and historical reference, those are kind of like the two earliest references that you see. And so from the Egyptian perspective, yeah, I really love the way that you've kind of pulled the symbolism together and also connected it with kind of the zodiac. So I just thought maybe there was some kind of like Egyptian connection or your own type of like historical perspective on zodiacs. But what has kind of lured you into the zodiac conversation, and what's inspiring this next collection of zodiac NFTs that you're working on?
Yeah, you're kind of in the matrix there, but I think I got your question. Most of the symbolisms on the art on Pop Africana are like, you know, I just picked out some very tribal markings from each of those regions where you see, you know, the art being represented there, like all those drums from Senegal in West Africa, and then I just put on, you know, a symbol of, you know, Fela Nicola Kuti just right there in the center of the whole Africa, because I'm a very, very strong believer in Fela and what he stood for. He stood for justice and democracy. So I think his whole music and his human rights activities really influenced democracy in the whole of Africa, so to speak. So I kind of really centralized him there, and then I just
yeah, it's a beautiful thing. Fela's inspiration for the whole continent, and specifically Nigeria. And, you know, democracy is far from guaranteed, you know, and I think that's something we're seeing more and more these days. You know, we have people very openly kind of fighting against democracy these days, unfortunately. So, you know, to see a figure like Fela and his words are as true today as they've ever been, you know, being able to be hoisted up and made immutable on the blockchain. This is actually my second Fela NFT that I have now. The first one was from Phil Heel. He had that really cool zombie one. I was able to grab one of those. Yeah, so I'm a big fan.
Amazing.
I hope to have a whole corner of my NFT collection filled with Fela art one day. That would be amazing.
That would be so dope. That would be amazing. That would be so dope.
For real. So you did mention briefly, I know you're saying your internet might start chopping later, so hopefully we'll be able to get all these questions in. I only have a few more for you here, and I don't know if anyone from the chat has any questions. Feel free to chime in. So you were mentioning that the Pop Africana holders will be able to claim these Zodiac mints, these Zodiac NFTs that are being minted, right? And you have the first one available for purchase right now, right? The Aquarius Zodiac. So how's that roadmap looking, and how do you kind of see that connection being made?
I see the connection being made. It's just more like, okay, if you support me by getting Pop Africana, you can also get you can also claim all of these zodiac signs. Some people are really attached to their zodiac signs, and so am I. I'm a Leo, so I'm really attached to my zodiac sign. So you can either go ahead to collect all of the 12. Claim it for free. I think you collected it you collected Pop Africana after I took the snapshot.
Snapshot, yeah.
So there was a snapshot. So there'll be another snapshot where I'll now use for the Pisces. Pisces is next, you get. So that's how I'll just be rolling out bit by bit. I'm gonna reopen after the snapshot. I'm gonna reopen the Pop Africana for another 48 hours, and then I'll now just keep rolling like that until probably the end of the year.
Nice.
Because that's how I'll be rolling out the zodiac signs. But I also plan to drop some one-of-one art pieces later in the year. I think around August.
Nice.
Another digital NFT. It will also be 3 pieces of art, physicals, and you collect the NFT, you get the physical piece, something like that. Yeah, they are really legendary and very, very historic art. I created them in 2020. So the whole 3 pieces. Yeah, just spent the whole of 2020 to create the whole 3 pieces. In fact, one of the pieces is really, really special to me because I was documenting a protest, a nationwide protest that happened in 2020, and then I don't know if you heard about it, some NSAS protest.
Yeah, I do. I remember the students, right?
The government really came to the toll gates. People, killed some peaceful protesters, and then, since the event of the massacre, I couldn't complete the art. So the art is literally just there since then. So when I can find some courage to complete it, I hope I would complete that, and then I'm gonna mint 3 of them on the blockchain. The 3 arts that I created throughout 2020.
Awesome.
So that's what I have for the first and second quarter for now.
No doubt. So you got the Zodiacs, and you got some more historically relevant and significant art that's telling a important story about some injustice that happened in 2020 in Nigeria with the students. I remember, that's wild. Really crazy.
Yeah, it was wild. Yeah.
But I think that's another amazing tool for the blockchain, right? Is to make sure that we keep track and mint these kind of immutable pieces of history that otherwise might get lost or forgotten about, and people are fighting. Right. These students are fighting for their rights. They're fighting for democracy. They're fighting for freedom and really, economic opportunities, So on that point, actually, how do you feel about Nigeria, looking into the future, specifically maybe in the Web3 space? Do you think they're going to come around on blockchain and be more supportive, make it a little easier for creators like yourself to kind of off-ramp their crypto? Is it a difficult thing right now to turn your crypto into Naira?
Oh yeah, it takes me at least 30 to 45 minutes to do that on good days, and that's a long time. That is a lot. So you really have to do peer-to-peer. You cannot just get it directly from your account. So you have to send your fiat to some guy that's gonna like release crypto to your wallet, on Binance. So it takes some time for people to like do that, and then you have to come. It's kind of stressful. It's not seamless. It's
That's
not
rough.
seamless at all.
That's
Yeah, it's
rough.
not seamless at all. So to answer your question, I really I cannot really say what would be, but I think it really depends on however the election plays out. Because one person is kind of techie, he likes tech, and the other guy is saying that he doesn't even see the need of people using Twitter in the country.
Oh my goodness.
So it really it really
Sheesh.
depends. So we're just really hoping that the tech guy goes ahead to win. I mean,
Yeah. And how do you feel about the state of democracy? Like, what's it like? As obviously you're
I'm
in the
really
tech
positive
space.
about it. I'm really positive about it. I mean, the democracy in the country is really nice, and just a few bad actors. But apart from that, we're just hoping that we can like put one of the good ones right in the seat of power where they can get to do the right things.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, it's difficult, but hopefully things will push in the right way. And if one person is pro tech innovation and the other person doesn't see the need for Twitter and just wants to go the Chinese route and shut down certain corners of your internet, I really hope that the tech guy will win if that's the options. But
Of course.
keep us posted there, Zeon, and I really do hope
Of
that
course.
off ramping option becomes smoother. Like I've heard Americans complaining about the off ramp, which depends on state to state, I think, how easy or difficult that is. In Canada, I have to say we have an amazing off ramp and on ramp system, specifically just out of Bitcoin or Ethereum. But if you know crypto, you can basically turn anything into Bitcoin. So it makes off ramping pretty much any crypto very simple and safe. And it's regulated. It's all kind of approved. So it's not like you need to go to Binance and try to find someone to kind of do it under the table. So that's difficult, man. I hope that changes for your country soon, because that's not,
I hope so.
that's just it's fraught with security concerns, right? When you have to go through those P2P exchanges, and Binance is just a scary place. So I've noticed that you have some 3D art here too. I'd love to just pick your brain about that a little bit briefly. It looks like you call it Ruthie's Diary is one of the collections. So you've created a cool character with some very colorful vibes. What's the story behind the 3D art?
Well, the whole story about Ruthie's Diary, it's a documentary of a true story. How someone would try to navigate their way through orthodox practices, and just breaking out of all that and just finally being free. I mean, the whole story is just really interesting. It took me over a year to kind of like break all of that down and just release the pieces one after the other. That was my one of the stories from Ruthie is my Genesis NFT minted in August 2021. Hello Ruthie. That was just an introduction to the entire story. So I took my time to bring out another story off site. That was I think November or December 2021, and then last year I released the other three stories attached to it. One was in the first quarter, the second was in the third, and in the fourth quarters. So they're just really they're connecting stories. All right. It would just be nice if you could if you take out time to read the descriptions, you get to understand these are the stories that I'm trying to tell about this particular subject. It's definitely the same person. I mean, if you look all through, the subject is just purple all through. So it's just the same person in different manifestations, basically.
Wow, that's really cool. And it is cool that you got the story through the description. And how do you feel about like literature and stories on the blockchain more broadly? Do you think there's going to be an industry for that? It seems like there always has to be some kind of visual connected to it. But yeah, you know, I'm working with Storytime DAO. I don't know if you've come through our Clubhouse rooms yet, but we're trying to do something exactly like this, which is basically minting more new, you know, epic stories, works of art on the blockchain. But looking at even regular art pieces in the context of a story more so than just a simple piece of art. How important do you think that is, and where do you see it going?
It's really important. I mean, writing is a work of art. It's just like painting, you know. So it's really important that stories being told, you know, whether you're typing it or you're painting it. You know, basically, also typing is also really important, because I know a couple of poets in this space who mint their poems, and then some people mint educational materials. You know, you can mint it on Mirror.xyz. It's basically just Medium, but for Web3.
Right.
You know. So yeah, you can just go ahead to do that, and it's needed. Really, it is needed. Something that cannot be ignored. I think the blockchain is just so beautiful that everything that can be digitalized should be kept on the blockchain, so they don't get to, you know, get lost or something,
Yeah, no doubt.
or get destroyed. Yeah, that's how I feel about it. That's exactly how I feel about it. And I'll definitely stop by Storytime DAO.
Yeah, we'd love to have you. You're already telling stories on the blockchain, so that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like that you mentioned Mirror. I actually had forgotten about Mirror.xyz. That was one of the pieces I was looking at last year when I was starting this kind of adventure of, you know, what is literature on the blockchain really going to kind of evolve into, and Mirror is definitely doing it the right way, and they have really cool opportunities to mint your stories and then also any visuals with it, so you can still kind of have the main long form text like a blog, like you said, but also have the visuals so that on the chain when it shows up, you know, if you have an NFT connected to it, you can still have a kind of nice piece of art but a very long form kind of story connected to it. So definitely very cool, very cool. So I just want to ask, you know, when it comes to African culture on the blockchain, there's a lot of it. Like you said, it's been curated, I think, well in corners like the African NFT community, the Nigerian NFT community. We got Ghana NFTs. I talked to Kofi about, but, you know, maybe outside of our own communities, how do you see, like, how important do you think it is that African culture is seen on the blockchain?
Yeah, I think it's just as important as preserving the culture. And I think a lot of artists that are, you know, doing that already, myself included. Chuma does a lot of African art, and then Phil Hill too also does some African themed art. And representing those symbolisms, Owu Anietie, and a host of other artists, really you cannot fail to, represent our culture. You know, the way I usually picture it, I feel like those of us who kind of enjoy, creating art with African, when I say African theme, I mean like African symbolisms, tribal markings. And I always feel like we are kind of like blessed and kind of really, really special from the ancestors, because it's the only way that we can preserve this history. It's the only way that we can keep these things, and for posterity's sake. And also Kofi makes, oh no, Max, recreating all those masks. Because there's even a time that he created masks from my tribe, Ibibio. I was like, hey guy, I'm from Ibibio here.
There you go.
This is the mask. He got it right. I just, helped him, to put some markings on, some little bit details. But for the structure, he got it so right. He shared a whip, and I was really excited. I was like, hey, this is it, Ibibio. You are right. This is it, boo.
That's
So
awesome.
it's really important that we put it on the blockchain, and the blockchain will stay. I mean, it's the next technology, so for posterity's sake, we better do this, and we better do it right.
Yeah, I listened to this song by Jadena. It's called Worth the Wait. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's got Sean Kuti, which is Fela's son, right? And in the song, he talks about how there's a need for a global highway that connects Africans across the diaspora with the motherland, with the continent, you know, and the idea that, all black folks all over the world have this one thing in common, which is Africa, that we all come from Africa, right? And I just can't help but think, that global highway is the blockchain, and that global highway is even the creator economy specifically, being built out not just on Ethereum, but on these different blockchains, because now I'm able to talk to you like we're just next door, and I'm able to buy art from you like you're just another artist in my community here, so it's bringing everyone closer together and connecting us. And again, like, that has to be worth a whole lot of value, and I think that it's a bear market in general, so I think there's a lot of valuable things on the blockchain that are being undervalued right now, but especially when I look at the amazing work being done by African creators like yourself and others, and the diaspora, and what we're trying to build even in Web 2 and in, the traditional spaces, people talking about ESG and social and governance, sustainability and all this kind of stuff. But investing in Africa, investing in sustainable solutions for Africa specifically can solve so many problems. And I really believe that blockchain is going to make that such an easier undertaking, So I'm just putting that out there. Yeah. Global highway, maybe blockchain is the solution we need to kind of collaborate and get our act together, and build something amazing for the continent. What do you think about that?
Because I think that's an amazing philosophy. That's a very amazing perspective. I mean, it's definitely the blockchain that Jadina was talking about in the song. I know the song.
You know the song.
It definitely has to be the blockchain, the internet. I think it has to be, because it's amazing. We get to talk with people from around the world. It's fascinating, really.
That's it. And I mean, it was one thing when, we could do video games and we could talk to people in chat rooms and stuff, and that's cool. But now that the economy has brought into it, now that like there's real peer-to-peer transactions, not paying super crazy extra fees, and just being able to support someone directly, I really think that's opening up a whole new opportunity. And the only last part of it is what you just described earlier, right? The fact that you're having to run around to try to off-ramp your crypto, I think it's advantageous for any jurisdiction, for all governments, to look at a way to, in a very clear regulatory, framework, make it easy for people to off-ramp and on-ramp crypto into fiat. And I think instead of being scared of that, they should actually realize how much of an economic engine that is. And I do think that, not to toot our own horn, but Canada, at least when it comes just to Bitcoin and Ethereum specifically, just those two coins, really see the writing on the wall, and they are making it fairly simple for us in Canada to on and off ramp between those two coins. So I hope that Nigeria will follow suit, and other African countries, because that is really the last piece of the puzzle. As soon as it's easy for Africans across the continent to actually off ramp their crypto into their regional fiat, it's going to be a whole new ball game,
Yeah, you're right. That's the last piece of the puzzle, and we're gonna get it right. We'll get it right.
That's it. We're almost there.
Awesome.
Well, this is really exciting. I did want to ask you just about the Alpha bits. You weren't able to mint those on Manifold, right? So they would have been minted on OpenSea, or were they done through Manifold as well?
No, they weren't done through Manifold. I had minted them through OpenSea. The alphabet were minted in OpenSea since 2021. It was really early. There was no Manifold
I
then.
know, yeah. And Manifold was so confusing. I think they were around, but it was a lot more complicated back then.
Oh, really? I really had no idea. So, what I actually plan on doing with those that particular collection is to kind of like bridge it onto alphabet wallet address, so I'm looking forward to doing that, but not really I'm putting in any efforts or like intentionality to do that yet. it's gonna be a techiest thing, so I need to like gather the funds to
Yeah.
go run that.
Yeah. And you're
So
thinking like
yeah,
Alphrobets.eth kind of thing, and making it like a
yeah,
central
yeah, sort
wallet
of like
project.
that. Just
Yeah.
yeah, just kind of build it from the ground up.
Yeah, that's
Because
super cool.
I don't want to like release any more NFTs. Just want to start releasing the funds. I had already released the first set of the funds. Yeah, and I did an airdrop. I minted that on Polygon so that the airdrop would just be gas free.
Yeah.
So I did that. So yeah,
Well, one thing I
I've not
would
seen. Hmm?
recommend is relisting these guys on OpenSea. You should relist them all
Oh,
because they're really beautiful. I love the couple that I was able to grab, and I think making
okay.
sure you have these listed, and I see it all the time, and I understand there's always a window, right? So it's easy to forget about them, but
Mm,
you never know. Just having them listed, you never know. You might have a sale come in here and there. So it's a
mm,
small
right.
thing. It's
That's
a
right.
small thing to potentially get some other ETH flowing into your wallet there. So just recommendation, because they are very beautiful. I love my K so much. My K for Krome.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I'm gonna consider that. I mean, yeah, I'm gonna consider that.
Cool. Yeah, hopefully need more collectors on those awesome Alphrobets. They're a very cool collection. I know you're looking at ultimately getting into a font as well. So good luck with that. Yeah, I don't think we have any questions from the chat. Thank you so much, Zeon, for joining us. It's been a really interesting conversation about what is the potential for your collections and for the broader NFT community, the African NFT community. And I'm really excited to see what 2023 brings you. And I look forward to being able to claim my own zodiac, which is the Libra. So I guess I got another 9 or 10 months, 9 months before I'll probably be able to claim that one. But I look forward to being able to claim that one. Aquarius is a really nice sign too, and I really love how you use the symbolism. Pouring. So you're going to have similar symbolism for the zodiacs for each one, and are you planning to release them on
Yeah.
a monthly basis?
Yeah. I'm gonna create I'm looking to create all of them like in the first quarter, and just keep them, and then just set it on Manifold, just set the dates for the drops for future. But I want to like finish with all the whole drawing this first quarter, because I have a lot of work to do this year.
Very cool, very cool. And do you have anything to say to other artists like yourself, maybe specific to African artists in the diaspora or elsewhere, who for whatever reason just haven't dabbled in NFTs yet? Are you talking to anybody locally in Nigeria? Maybe you're having these conversations, but what do you say to people who are creative but just haven't jumped into the Web3 space yet? Maybe how are you trying to convince them to jump in?
That's great. I would just say that, I mean, if you ever want to have like a provenance to your work, and I mean, and also the royalties really help. And if you sell your art in the traditional space, everyone knows if you sell your art to someone, you do not know if the person resells it or if the person makes any money off it. You're just literally cut off from the whole chain of ownership from your own work. So the blockchain just kind of cuts that off, just makes that to be impossible, because there's provenance, and you can see who buys your works and when they bought it and the amount it's sold for, and then you always have royalties for that. So I think it's something that all the creatives, not just artists, writers and poets, everybody, rappers, musicians, and producers, every creative actually should actually just hop on the blockchain and just try it out for yourself. And I think it's a really great idea, or financial advice to get in a bear market, so you won't be hopping in
Yeah.
when it's a bull run, and you now be kind of acting like it's a FOMO or something like that. You have a fear of missing out. So yeah, I would just say you should hop on it. And there are communities, African NFT communities. There are people, artists like myself and others, who will just answer your questions. It's no big deal. You can just get in the community and just at anybody and just ask a question. If the person knows the response, will answer you. Or someone else will see it and definitely just respond to your message. So
Most
that's what I
definitely.
would just say. And yeah, just keep creating, and and don't just stay true to your craft. That's all I have to say. Thanks, David.
Yeah, branch out.
So nice having me.
I love it. And you're able to help out on the Dream Conduit as well, which is another DAO that I'm working with that really is all about doing what you just described, you know, answering people's questions, helping people out. And you can follow us at the Dream Conduit on Twitter and get into the Discord as well. And we always have open spaces on Clubhouse or in the Discord where you can ask any questions. So yeah, it's a great community. And definitely if you're any creators out there thinking about jumping into this Web3 creator economy, and it's not about making money overnight. It's about actually just creating a new avenue for yourself and meeting some awesome new creative people who are very tech minded and forward thinking. And, you know, as like minds get together, amazing things happen. So that's what we've been seeing. And thank you so much, Zeon, for your contributions. I really am excited to see where you continue to evolve to this year. And like I say, I really think that the market for African art that's historically relevant, that's very unique and specific to the African culture is totally being slept on right now. And I think that as an industry, as a corner of the NFT space, it's going to blow up. I have no doubt about that, as more affluent collectors who love the culture are realizing, you know, what is available. I think it's going to continue to blow up. And you're going to be one of those at the forefront, Zeon, with your Afrocentric Mandalas. So can't wait to see it. Thank you again. If you have anything else to add.
Thank you.
All good. All right.
Have a great day, bro.
Thank you so much, Zeon. Thank you, everybody who tuned in to the Web3 Warriors podcast. We will be back next Saturday talking sustainability. Looking forward to talking about that and really just continuing the conversation about all the amazing angles of Web3 and what's possible. Thank you again, Zeon. We'll keep tabs on your amazing Zodiac project and all your other beautiful one-of-one NFTs that you got going. And until next Saturday, we'll catch you all in the metaverse. Peace out, everybody.